Welcome to Inspire Campfire, a podcast where ordinary people tell their stories of extraordinary adventure. These are campfire stories meant to inspire the rest of us to light the fire within, get outside, follow our dreams, and return to tell our own stories. Ready? Let's strike the match.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Scott Wurzbacher, and today we're going behind the scenes to explore the adventure of being on someone else's adventure through the lens of a wilderness filmmaker. 2 years ago, in episode 93, we followed a group of 4 friends as they set out to break the Guinness World Record for the fastest paddle down the full length of the Mississippi River. That incredible journey has now been captured in a newly released documentary, and today we're joined by the filmmakers who brought that story to life. Joining us from Montana are Alex Maier and Amy Robin, the creative force behind Wilderness Mindset, a company devoted to outdoor filmmaking and nature-inspired storytelling. Amy and Alex founded Wilderness Mindset with a mission to inspire people to discover their own meaningful experiences in nature. Their vision aligns perfectly with what we're all about here at Inspire Campfire. I'm thrilled to dive into the Making of Mississippi Speed Record documentary and learn more about their journey with Wilderness Mindset. Alex, Amy, welcome to the campfire.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this. It's been so fun. The way we got connected through, obviously, the Mississippi Speed Record story. And, for me, I got to hear that story from Scott Miller, episode 93, 2 years ago. And now to be able to kind of talk with you guys from literally like a different lens is very cool. So I'm just going to jump in and ask you, so what is it like to have the focus of your adventure be someone else's adventure?
That's a good question.
That is a good question. I think it kind of takes the pressure off of your adventure, because we hiked the CDT and we filmed that. And I felt at times it took away from my adventure a little bit, because you got to back up, you got to put your camera up, and then you got to walk by it, and then you got to go grab your camera again. So I think it definitely contributes to your take on adventures, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say in some ways it's almost easier, because all we got to do is keep up. These guys they're the ones that are making the hard choices, and they're having to do all the work, and we're just there to point the camera at them, and that's kind of fun and a little bit easier sometimes than filming an adventure.
I mean, it's very purposeful, actually. I mean, for the adventurer, it's like they have this mission to accomplish this goal, and you're there just to sort of capture it. But you're on an adventure too. I mean, you're out there with them. I'm like, what's the bigger adventure? Is it the making of the movie, or is it the adventure itself?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, I think it depends how you measure big adventures.
Yeah.
Because the guys that we were filming, they put more effort in, physically. But yeah, we had a lot of kind of logistical things to figure out to try to make sure we were always in the right place.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I definitely want to come back and spend a little bit more time talking about your actual experience behind the scenes and that adventure. I mean, that was, all the way from Minnesota down to the Gulf. It was a big adventure. Mm-hmm. But let's come back to your story, and let's talk about Wilderness Mindset. So you guys have created this filmmaking company called Wilderness Mindset. What is it all about?
That depends where we want to start, I guess. The story. We start on the CDT.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where Amy and I came together and started working together on our first thing. We had already been dating for a year, I think.
Okay.
5 months, 4 months.
Oh, maybe it felt like a year at that time. And I had already done a few through hikes. Amy was already an outdoor adventurer person, doing a lot of hunting and spending a lot of time outside, and a nature photographer and everything. So we just kind of naturally came together. Maybe you tell a story of how we decided to do the CDT in the first place?
Yeah. I personally have gone through a lot of struggles in my life, mentally, physically, emotionally, a lot of trauma. And at that point of where I met Alex, I was at a good point. But he told me all the benefits that he had received by doing through hikes. And so I thought about it for a while, and being with a man for about 3 or 4 months, having a question that I had of asking him if he would be willing to do a through hike with me, with somebody who have a lot of mental struggles, and make a mental health movie about it. I was very nervous to ask him, and it took a little bit. But one day at work, I just finally sent him a text message. Hey, what do you think about doing a through hike and making a mental health video out of it? And, again, I was expecting something like, no, or let's talk about this. But he texted right back and said, yeah, and I was kind of blown away. So then from then on out, we started planning, and then we ended up on the CDT because it's supposed to be the more remote of the 3 main through hikes.
We should explain the CDT, I guess, for any non-hikers if you don't use acronyms.
Yeah.
CDT is Continental Divide Trail. It's a 3,100-mile hiking route from Mexico to Canada and goes pretty much up the spine of the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah.
We chose to do that one.
And it's one of the Triple Crown, which is the CDT, the Pacific Crest Trail, and the Appalachian Trail.
Yep.
And again, we chose that trail because it was supposed to be the most remote out of those 3.
Yeah.
Because we were going out there to basically, survive and figure ourselves out and film about it. And actually, it was right after COVID, and it was actually really busy.
Yeah, it was. More people than we expected out there.
Yeah. And our first day, we probably saw 100 people, and I was just I thought we picked a remote trail.
Yeah.
Were you planning it before COVID, or was it a COVID decision?
I think we started during.
It was during COVID. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, definitely a lot. Trails like that definitely got a lot of increased traffic after that, when people realized they could work from home or that they were stuck or whatever. But
yeah.
And I think people took a year off, and then they all rolled over into the next year. So it was 2 or 3 years of hikers worth on 1 year.
Yeah. So actually, I want to come back to, so this is really cool. And you guys individually and uniquely have your own stories of how you kind of developed your adventure spirit before this all came together. And we'll come back to that, but just kind of touching on this decision point to go hike the CDT and make a movie about it. So Amy, for you, you were kind of this idea was sort of building in you, and you're a little bit worried to ask Alex about it. But what was more exciting to you, the idea of making a movie or the trail itself? I guess I'm just kind of curious, your mindset on those 2 pieces.
Yeah. Like I said, I was at a good point at that time in my life. And I liked to share my story with other people, and that at times people have told me inspired them and helped them out. So I thought it would be a great idea to put my story out there into the world. And it actually opened a box of worms. It kind of dropped me back down a few steps, just because I hadn't told everybody my story.
Okay.
Not a lot of people knew all of the things that I went through. And then I went from having that inside me to sharing that with the whole world.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And it took way more on my mental state than I thought it would. Yeah. But I think it was both aspects, because I love being in nature. I love hiking. I love photography. And so that was the exciting part, as well as being able to help people and share my story.
Yeah. And you guys had been dating, I think you said 5 or 6 months at that point. So so while she hadn't asked the question yet, you're kind of on this journey with her at this point, Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think by the time she asked, I was already thinking it's about time to start thinking about another through hike. So
okay. So she had you at the adventure, but Amy, I think that's so interesting. And would you mind sharing a little bit more about you talked about having this idea, and then it kind of you actually took a few steps back before you went forward. And I'm curious if you'd mind sharing a little bit about that.
Yeah. I've been through a lot of physical trauma and sexual trauma and mental trauma from people that you would expect to be there for you or be standing by you, family members, bosses, significant others. And I had kept that in so much. So like sweeping it under the rug, because I've never done like any therapy or anything like that. So I just I thought I was in a really good place, and I was able to like let it out into the world. And when I let it out, I didn't realize at the time what was happening. And it's only been like maybe this last year or even the year before where I actually realized that I had opened up this huge can of worms that I didn't have ever opened, really.
Yeah.
And we have our CDT Through Hike series. We haven't made the film yet, but we have the series on YouTube, and we would release those episodes every week while we were hiking. So that was a whole lot of work as well. But some people gave me a whole lot of praise, but some people didn't. And my mind instantly like cleared all the praise and stuck onto those.
We're our own worst critics for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
You get 100 good comments and one bad comment,
Yes.
and that's all you can think about.
Yeah.
So how did you move through that? It seems like you kind of, like you said, you took a few steps forward, or backwards, but have moved forward through that. Like, how did you move, kind of past that?
So I'm still working on it, to be honest with you. Struggling with all that abuse that I've like just recently been diagnosed with PTSD, because again, I don't tell people about these things.
Yeah.
So I'm about to start to see a therapist, and just time, and also being like aware, I think is the biggest part of my growth, is just being aware of where you're at, and maybe you're acting out in a way, and being able to reflect on why you're acting out that way, rather than Alex didn't put the dish away. I'm not really mad about Alex putting the dish away, you know. It might be annoying, but that's not why I'm lashing out. So it's just being aware of those things, and having a good support system is really important as well. But
you've come to realize that, like, that the wilderness and these kinds of experiences have been healing for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very in tune to nature. I'm a very big empath as well. And some people may call me a tree hugger. I do hug trees. But it's very, like, to me, it's very important to be in the wilderness, especially like when you can go and sit on the ground and sit on the dirt and just be able to ground yourself.
Yeah.
There's even like scientific studies of the energy between the earth and your body, and just like evening yourself out. But it goes even deeper than that, of things that I don't think any of us really understand at this point in our time.
Yeah. I really appreciate your sharing that gives, I mean, first of all, it's inspirational to hear. And I can imagine how, like, holding all that in and then releasing it to the world is, it's a big deal. But, it kind of connects a lot of dots for like how this whole mission has started for you guys and why you're so purposefully connected to it. So I'm curious, Alex, for you, when you got that text message, did you realize, like, there was a lot of obviously thought and, that was going into, like, and Amy, you said even some fear, like you're afraid to send this text message. And then all of a sudden, like, it just pops up as a message on your phone, Alex. Like, how did you receive the message?
Honestly, I don't think I thought about it too much.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of imagining, which is good, right? It's like,
I don't know if that's a good or a bad trait, but I tend to just kind of jump into things and then figure them out along the way. And like, I already had done through hikes. I already knew what a through hike was. Like, I knew it wouldn't be anything too crazy different for me. I think I totally underestimated what it meant to through hike with your girlfriend, because I had only done it by myself, or like kind of loosely associated with other friends on the trail, but we were never like committed to staying to each other. So it actually was incredibly different from other experiences that I've had on the trail. So that was something that probably kind of caught me off guard and took a while to adjust to and really understand and figure out how to navigate.
So let's just stop there for a second. Any quick tips or lessons for anybody that, you said that obviously hiking by yourself was very different than hiking with your girlfriend. What were a couple of your takeaways?
So one thing I've learned on my early through hikes when I was by myself, the other through hikers taught me the phrase, hike your own hike. And I really like that phrase. And I think it's the essence of it is basically like, you're out here for yourself. You're out here having your own adventure. Don't like change your adventure based on what other people want. Like you should be doing this for yourself and for what you want. And when we got onto the CDT, I didn't realize I was doing this, but I was, and I was trying to make Amy hike my hike. So that was because like I knew how to do this stuff. I was like the experienced one. I'm like, you got to do it the way that I do it because this is how I've found is the best way. That was kind of my attitude. And so, yeah, that's a big piece of advice is like, if you're hiking with somebody, hike your own hike and let them hike their own hike.
Yeah.
And that might mean that you don't hike together all the time. Maybe you guys have a different pace. So yeah, you might have to be hiking at different times or camping at different locations sometimes. Or if you're committed to staying together, then you're going to have to hike at one person's pace. You're going to have to kind of agree on that.
Totally makes sense. But you guys are still here. You're talking with me. You're sitting next to each other. Seems like you still like each other. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, we've come a long way because as Alex said, I was hiking Alex's hike.
Yeah.
And with my traumas and stuff, I allowed that to happen rather than being like, no, dude, listen, that's not what I'm going to do.
Yeah. I wish that would have happened, but it just didn't happen that way.
Yeah.
I mean, it took us a long time to really see this. We didn't know that that's what was happening in the moment. I think like years later, we're finally starting to unpack like what happened on that trail for us.
Well, I mean, I kind of think it's really cool. Like, you know, Amy, obviously you had put a lot of thought into this and Alex, you didn't. You just got a message basically saying like, hey, you want to go do a through hike? And you're like, yeah, let's go. I mean, you know, sometimes if we overthink something, like maybe the answer would have been different. So it seems like it happened the way that it needed to, which is really cool. Yeah. I guess it's an interesting conversation and it's a little off topic from the movie part of it, but like Amy, for you, just to kind of follow up on what Alex just said about y'all doing this hike together as a couple, like what were some of your takeaways from that?
Some of my takeaways were like, I need to stand up for myself when in inappropriate moments.
Yeah.
And learn to pick your battles because when you're with somebody 24/7, things will get annoying and it's hard to pick your battles. And sometimes it's hard to stand up for yourself, especially when you're doing something and you're in the middle of nowhere, 50 miles from town, walking or more. You're counting on that person, especially when we agreed to make a film. So we agreed to be together. So just standing up for yourself as well as learning to pick your battles. Yeah, for sure.
I love it. Well, guys, we have on this podcast, we've talked to someone that did the Pacific Crest Trail, we've talked to several people that have done the Appalachian Trail. We did have one guest that biked the Continental Divide Trail, but never talked to anybody that's through hiked the Continental Divide Trail. I feel like this is probably like a whole nother episode that we need to do. Yeah. But I want to, stay focused on wilderness mindset and talk a little bit about Mississippi Speed Record. But so Wilderness Mindset as a company really was born on the Continental Divide Trail. Like, was there any sort of moments that happened on that trail that like helped you guys realize like this is what we want to do?
I would say for me, no. Alex had always been a filmmaker since he was born, basically. I was a photographer, so it wasn't like I'm going to go into business with this man once we get done. Once we were done from the hike and our post-production of the hike, it was actually really difficult to find a place to live. That was after COVID, so things were booming. Prices were skyrocketing high. There was no places for rent even. So we eventually wound up from Livingston, Montana to where we are now in Columbus, Montana. And it was actually really, really difficult for me to find a good paying job in the area. The only job that I could find was being a teacher sub and $11 an hour, and they don't call you for a week. So you can't really rely on that. Okay. So for me, it was like, it's either this or I have to go move in with my mom in Colorado. So it was just like, I had to jump both feet in and have full faith in what this was going to do and what this was going to produce for us.
Yeah. So you guys just made a decision, like, we're going to turn this into a business and we're going to make it work.
Yeah,
pretty much.
pretty much.
Yeah. And I should say wilderness mindset didn't exist when we were hiking the CDT. That didn't actually come into fruition until like 6 months after the trail or something like that. And that was when we sort of made that choice. Like, we're going into this together and we're going all in, and we just got to figure out how to make this work, how to make a living from this.
So I love that you said that it wasn't really born until after the trail. So when did wilderness mindset become a thing?
That was January of 2022, I believe. And then we didn't really do like a legit project until the summer of that year, summer of 2022. So our first project as Wilderness Mindset, first like big documentary project, was Graybeard, the man, the myth, the Mississippi. And that was our first project on the Mississippi, and it was about an 87-year-old man who broke the record for becoming the oldest person to canoe down the entire Mississippi River.
Wow, that's amazing. And is that a film people can get access to now?
Yeah, it's on if you go to our website, wildernessmindset.com, you can buy a DVD. I know those are kind of extinct, but some people still like them. Yeah. There's also options on that we have on our website that'll take you to a platform that we use called Gumroad, where you can stream it. And that would include like the actual full film. That would include the festival cut, include behind the scenes, all of that good stuff. Or you can go to Amazon, and it's on Amazon, and it's on actually a lot of platforms actually. So like Tubi, I can't even keep up with them all. Yeah.
So 87-year-old, oldest to paddle the whole. So I'm assuming that's kind of how like you got connected with the Mississippi Speed Record guys, because it's the same. I'm assuming the same route.
Yep. And actually, what's even further connecting is we met Dale Graybeard because of the CDT. So we went and interviewed a whole bunch of people that have experience in nature and how it benefits them. So we got connected with Dale or Graybeard, and Alex went out to drive out there and interview him prior to the CDT. And that's how we met him. So that led to this job. So,
wow.
Yeah.
One thing always leads to the next thing.
That's so cool. And that, to me, that's like, you know, where this whole idea of like following your passion, like these synchronicities that just sort of line up for you. Like if you hadn't done the CDT, you would never have met him. If you hadn't met him, you wouldn't have done. I mean, it's just cool. And it's just to think like, I wonder what's next. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Synchronicity is another thing that was introduced to me on my first thru hike by a very experienced thru hiker. And that was like one of his like core tenets of like life, was how he lived. If a synchronicity popped up, some like strange coincidence that seems too unusual that happens, that's kind of how he lived his life. Those are like the cornerstones by how he like made decisions about how to travel life, basically. And I really like that concept, so we kind of kept that going into our hikes and movies and everything too.
Yeah, Alex, I'm a huge fan of that word, and I believe it as well. I'm curious, like so this person sort of inspired you by talking to you about it, but how have you sort of integrated that into your life?
That's a good question. It's like, I take it as a sign that I'm on the right path. If some synchronicity comes up, like some very unusual coincidence that seems too, like the chances of it happening are too extreme for it to be like random.
Yeah.
That's the sign that I take that I'm kind of like doing things correctly and kind of keep going in that direction if a synchronicity pops up.
I love that.
And a lot of people on the trail say the trail provides, but I like to take that a step forward and say the only reason why the trail provides is because you're in it, you're living it every single day. But Mother Earth provides if you were in it, living it every single day. But we tend to get wrapped up in like our lives, and we don't see what's actually all around us. You know, we just thought go.
Too focused on our goals or anything like that to listen to like what's happening around you.
Yeah. There's signs all around us, right?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I want to talk about wilderness mindset as a concept. So it's a very simplistic name. I love it. It's very clear. Like, can you talk through like where that came from as your, as your kind of brand?
Yeah. What's our motto?
So our motto is when you explore the wilderness, you take a look within, and then our like hashtag is stay wild.
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like we fully both live that.
Yeah, I think that's kind of our philosophy on life a little bit is like, or at least a path that I've followed since these through hikes is by going into nature and really like testing yourself and putting yourself in challenging, like physically difficult situations in nature, and especially by yourself. I think that's a part of it too. You learn about yourself, you get to know yourself better, and you really get to understand who you are, what you want in life, the things that are important to you, and not just the things that like we're kind of chasing in our day-to-day lives with acquiring more stuff and money and social status and that kind of stuff. Yeah, when you're out there in the rain for 5 days in a row and you're hungry, your mind tends to go to places where you understand what like really matters and what you really find valuable in life.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, those are important experiences that a lot of people in modern society don't have anymore. And I think like a long time ago, 10,000 years ago or whatever, that was just built into normal human existence. Like everybody had to go through those types of challenges. But these days, people have different challenges, but they're not like physical challenges in the wilderness. They're different types of challenges, and so they kind of reveal different things about who you are. But I think that's still ingrained in us, like biologically. I think we need that. So now we have to kind of seek it out voluntarily.
Yeah, and like I said, we tend to get wrapped up in our world of our lives. And like I said, again, Mother Earth provides, but it's so hard to see that when you're wrapped up. And we all do it. I do it. Alex does it.
Yeah.
Everybody that I know does it. But being in the wilderness, it takes you away from that. It takes you and it separates you from that. And especially when you do go by yourself, you can't blame that you didn't put the stake in your tent correctly. You can't blame that on somebody, you did it. So it's a mirror for you. That's exactly what it is. It's a mirror, and you can either accept it or you can deny it.
Yeah.
But either way, it's going to be there, and you're going to either grow from it or you're going to grow in a bad way from it as well. I guess you could. But most people that I know can be able to see like the growth and the benefits of like being out there by yourself and connecting, and the struggles. And struggling is actually you can't really live unless you struggle, right? You can't appreciate the little things if you haven't struggled. And having gratitude in life is so important. And we tend to take a lot of things for granted. And I think that's what the wilderness provides for everybody.
Yeah, really makes you appreciate the very simple things. Warmth,
Running water.
Okay.
Yeah, some good food.
I want to repeat, you've already said it, but I had pulled, it's a quote right on your website, and you said it's kind of your tagline. When we explore the wilderness, we take a look inside, we take a look within ourselves. When we explore the wilderness, we take a look within ourselves. And I love that. And I want to I think there's real good that comes out of it. But I also think that for a lot of people, looking within ourselves is really hard and something that we sometimes don't want to do.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah. It's hard.
And it's scary.
It's very scary. And absolutely, I 100% agree with you. It's very hard. It's very scary, but it's absolutely necessary as well. If you want to grow as a human being, you've got to take a look within.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I will say, this is something that I learned a little bit more recently, and I think I learned it because of our adventure on the CDT, is that you can't just go into nature and have all these epiphanies. You have to go into nature with the right intentions. And that's something that I kind of learned about myself. When we did the CDT, we talked about what our intentions were, and our intentions were to go out there for Amy to have like a healing experience in nature. And we both like knew that on a like psychological level. But when we actually went out there, I didn't realize this, but my intention was actually to hike the CDT. That was kind of like that became the primary goal when it shouldn't have been. So I didn't get what I was supposed to get out of that hike because I was focused on the wrong thing. So if you want to learn about yourself, if you want to grow as a human being, then your intention has to be to go into nature and to do that hard work, to do that introspective thinking, and be honest with yourself and understand that you might not like what you see all the time, but that's important. Because another thing that we've seen with our work is that a lot of people go into nature probably unconsciously with the intention of escaping. So they don't really like their normal life, or regular life is too stressful. And so it's like you have this grand, beautiful idea to go out into nature and just like escape the world. And that's a really romantic idea when you're sitting at your desk. And I can see how that's a big motivating factor for a lot of people. But it's okay to escape for a little bit. But I think it's also important to kind of to do that hard work while you're doing the escaping, to do that introspective work that's harder to do in normal society, I guess.
Yeah. I love how like the depth and the reflectiveness of what you guys are doing. Like, I mean, this conversation that we're having right now it's amazing. It's intense. Right. And I'm kind of thinking like, Netflix, Amazon Prime, like these, like, we go on there to sort of like, for a lot of people, we watch these movies to sort of numb ourselves, right? Like, yeah. And so I'm kind of curious, like, this is like the exact opposite of that, but it's still filmmaking. So when you guys are filmmaking somebody else's adventure, like, how do you bring some of these concepts into your work when it's about somebody else's adventure? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And it actually has happened very seamlessly, I feel like you said, when you follow your passion, it leads you to big, good things. And the synchronicities of it connecting you with people. Yeah. So Dale Sanders, who's Graybeard, he's very connected to nature, and he's very connected to his intuition about nature, and he has incredible stories. And so it was easy for us to connect on that level. And then the guys on the Mississippi Speed Record, these guys are incredible. Like, if you're paddling 24/7, you are, sleep deprived. Your body is, you can't even imagine. I can't even imagine how much they are hurting,
Blisters.
But every single time they saw anybody, the ground support crew, the boat support crew, us, they're always so grateful. Always, all the time, saying thank you all the time. Like, amazing people. And they were very in tune to nature as well. And so it's very easy to connect with them on that. So, like, there's some lines from Scott Mansker, who's the boat support leader. I'm getting my terms mixed up, but support boat captain.
Okay.
And he's said something on the lines of like, nature is always there for him to connect to. So it's just synchronicities, possibly. I don't know what it is, but it's actually been really easy for us to get that touch inside our movies.
Yeah. I think we've been able to relate with people pretty well because we've done our own adventures. So we kind of know that mindset that you get into when you're on something big. And with our movies, we try to not just capture what's happening, but we try to dig like a layer deeper and explore like the psychology of all these people and try to really understand why they do these things, like what motivates them to get out there.
Yeah.
There's that's where we start getting into that like wilderness mindset philosophy, because as we start digging and start asking these kind of deeper questions to these adventurers, everybody kind of falls into like a similar way of talking about it. And it's kind of interesting. There's like a shared belief system among a lot of these adventurers that nobody like got together and like sort of decided that we're all going to believe these things, but everybody kind of does if they're out there for the right reasons, for that kind of to do that introspective work, to try to become a better person. All these adventurers tend to kind of believe in the same things. And so we try to dig into that when we do our interviews.
It seems like it's primal, it's just kind of, it's like sort of innate. So I'm curious, like, when you're making a movie about somebody else's adventure, like, do they like consciously or explicitly want you to try to draw out some of this, like looking within, or is it just something that sort of happens in the process naturally?
I don't think I've ever had anybody ask us to do that.
Mhm.
There was Paul Cox. He did a little bit of research about us, and he was expecting these questions because
He was a paddler.
yeah, he was a paddler, and he expected these questions because he's seen our work. So, but I don't think anybody's explicitly been like, "Hey, can you ask me X, Y, Z to get this across?"
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are kind of nervous about being on camera in the first place, and like camera people and TV crews or reality TV side of this whole industry, it kind of gives it a bad name. So a lot of people are a little bit nervous that like we might be dishonest or take things out of context and make them look bad. So at first, people are sometimes a little bit guarded, just a little bit.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take long during an interview to talk to people and get them to open up because usually we're pretty open and we're pretty honest about what we're trying to do and our own story. So we tell a little bit of our own story when we're interviewing people, and sometimes these interviews last 2 or 3 hours or 5.
Yeah, no.
So there's plenty of time to dig deep.
So I love this. I want to let's jump into that adventure as well, because you're kind of leading me right into that. So if we go like specifically to the Mississippi Speed Record, the making of this movie. So what is it like for you guys as the filmmakers while they're doing this adventure? Like, do you feel like you're part of it, or are you sort of like on the sidelines just observing? And, how does the dynamic of you guys being there impact their experience? I got to imagine that, with you guys being there, kind of doing your thing, like they're aware that you're there. So I guess I'm just curious, like, what's that whole experience like for you guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say that they are aware. And when we first enter into these projects, there's a layer of, I don't want to use the word fakeness, but for lack of better words, fakeness, because you have a camera on you, right? So you're going to be your best person.
Right.
And after a few days, especially when you're going 24/7, after a few days, that is gone. Like, it's you, it's real. And eventually, like, we integrated into the support team. Like, we were doing support team duties.
Yeah. And that was not planned. It just sort of happened that way.
Yeah.
And we were all happy to work together.
Yeah. And me personally, like, I'm a person that if somebody needs help, that's going to be my priority. And sometimes it's hard for me to be the filmmaker when I see somebody struggling. Like, I will go out of my way to tell somebody that they're doing a great job. And you can hear me the whole time in the Mississippi Speed Record. Yeah. Like, good job, guys, or hooting and hollering at them, or just trying to give them a little bit of encouragement. And at times, Alex has to remind me, Amy, you're here to make a movie.
Turn your camera on.
But yes, eventually we just get integrated and these people become family members. When you go through something that big, it's not the simplicity of a relationship is no longer there, and it's really deep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'll say different people, different personality types handle it differently. Like Graybeard, he is a guy who loves attention and he loves being on camera. He's very outgoing. So like, you point a camera at him and he's going to start dancing around and making all kinds of noises and stuff. And I mean, he kind of is that person in real life too. So he's not really putting on much of an act, but like, he loves it. So it was really easy to film him. And then some people, they're a little bit quieter and a little bit more reserved, and they're not going to be dancing around on camera. But if you get them at the right moment and ask them the right questions, those people tend to be like deeper thinkers, and they're going to say some pretty profound things. And I think Paul Cox comes to mind as one of those people. He's a little bit of a quieter person. Of the 4 paddlers, he is probably the most reserved out of everybody, but he had some of my favorite lines in that movie.
Yeah, he's probably had the most impactful lines in that movie. And
yeah,
I think because of Paul Cox, people get emotional about the Mississippi Speed Record.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I got a chance to watch the whole thing. It's so good. So you guys were part of the entire length. Like, you didn't just come in and shoot sections. I mean, you were there for the whole thing.
So that is correct to
mostly. Yeah.
Alex, we had a prior thing that we agreed upon doing before Scott Miller came to us about this project.
Yep.
We got on this project like 3 months before it started, so it wasn't like this long planned out thing that we could do. So we had another thing that we agreed to already in the middle of this. So Alex had to go out for about a week or something like that, and I stayed on the Mississippi Speed Record. So I was on the full entirety. Alex was on most of it.
Yep. But I mean, I've got to imagine in that time, you guys must have had hours and hours and hours of footage. I mean, it's got to be hard to kind of parse through all of that to put it together.
Yeah.
I think it was 300 hours of video and 500 hours of audio.
Wow.
Because we recorded audio from the canoe. We just let that run almost the whole time.
And we've teamed up with people who are on like production sets, and it's just a whole different beast. Like you've got to back up your footage while filming, you've got to like have these practices in place while filming. It's not like you get done at 8 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night, you back up your footage, you go home and you go to bed and then start again the next day. This is 24/7. So it's just a whole different ball game for sure. And it takes a different kind of person in my mind to be able to do that.
Yeah. Well, and also I think one thing that I always think about when I'm watching these kinds of movies, like, that this is like real, this stuff is happening, but like, there's always this thought like, well, who's behind the camera, And so I think that's always kind of interesting, like how you get into the spots that you get into to capture the footage that you're getting. I think that's something that's super interesting to me.
Yeah, I think we didn't quite do enough like preparation or planning for the Mississippi Speed Record in terms of like how we want to film it. We just sort of went there and like, we're going to try to capture this.
Yeah.
So we sort of made a plan before they started about like, I'll be filming during this time and then I'll take a break and Amy will film so that we can trade off and get some sleep and catch up and everything. And I think like 24 hours into it, we had already broken that plan. We were basically both just awake the whole time.
Yeah.
For like 3 days, we didn't sleep much.
Any like fun anecdotes or stories of stuff that happened along the way for you guys?
Well, all I can say is what happens on the Falcon stays on the Falcon.
All right, fair enough. Well, that's probably a good answer.
The Falcon is a support boat on the Mississippi Speed Record, and I got to gratefully I got to hang out with Scott Mansker and Mark Hanley basically 24/7. So that's why I say that. Just some shenanigans happened that, like we're not going to put out into the world.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
No, that's great. It's such a good documentary. We'll come back to this, but if people want to watch the Mississippi Speed Record documentary, how do they do? What's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, again, just like Graybeard, it's on our website. If you go to our website, you can buy the DVD, which has the bloopers, the deleted scenes, the full-length film, or you can go through our website and get on the platform of Gumroad, where it's available for live streaming. And it has all of the DVD features plus the film festival cut. Or it just recently landed on Amazon. So that has been a big bump for people because all these other DVDs and streaming platforms aren't very accessible for some people. So Amazon has been a good bump right now for people to view it. So you can rent it or buy it through Amazon Prime Video.
Mm-hmm. Love it. I want to finish up just talking about the business itself, because, stepping onto the CDT and tackling that, it's a big adventure, but creating a business is a big adventure as well. There's just as many hazards. They might come in different forms, but especially like a passion-based business, like doing something that you guys are really, really passionate about. I know personally, like it comes with a lot of its own sort of struggles. And I'm just curious, like what the early days were like for you guys. And then we can kind of get into sort of where you are now with it. But, what was it like to kind of get started in this world of like creating a business that's passion-based?
I would say that we kind of had a little bit of help In terms of Alex has been in this world for quite some time under a different business name. So people already knew him. So that gave us a little bit of leverage. But it was really, really difficult. Most businesses don't make it past their first year, right? And I think the businesses that do make it have a lot of faith or they have a lot of help. And we had both. So it's just like when I say we have no money, legitimately all our credit cards were maxed out. We had no income coming in. Our rent was due. We have no food in the fridge. Like, it was just like, how are we going to make it through? And we had to make some quick thinking on our toes, per se. And we actually have 4 businesses. And Wide Range Multimedia is our LLC, so that it captures all of our businesses, which Wilderness Mindset is under. And then we created A&A Weddings, which really helped us get out of the hole. I wouldn't say actually get us out of the hole. What helped us pay our bills going forward.
Yeah.
And then we have Up North Films, which is another documentary company that Alex, his professor, did a whole bunch of documentaries under. So we just managed that for him.
Cool.
And then also Alex's parents believe in what Alex believes in so much and are such wonderful people that they actually helped us get out of the hole so that we continue to do what we were, you know, also foolhardy in.
Yeah.
Synchronicity, right? People show up to help you.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever second guess yourselves along the way?
I did.
I've been pretty committed to this for 10 years, at least 10 years. So I always knew that I was going to do this and that we were going to figure out a way to make this work.
Yeah.
I guess I had a little bit of doubts, like, do we need to take a step back from this and get a part-time job to help pay the bills? Well, we kind of figure out how to become filmmakers, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was not a lot of doubt. I was always pretty sure that we would make this work somehow.
I love it. And so where would you say the business is today?
Pretty good. I think we got it off the ground. Like that was the biggest thing for us, was just figuring out some sort of business model to bring in work, to bring in paying work. And that was like really the hardest thing to figure out. And our wedding video and photography business is a huge part of that. So in some ways that kind of is a part-time job that helps pay for the passion work of Wilderness Mindset. But we ended up actually enjoying the wedding work more than I thought we would. So that's fun too. And there's some passion that goes into that too. So we're at a point now where clients are coming to us, like we're getting work and we're paying the bills and we're making a profit. So now we're kind of at the stage of like, how do we expand this thing? What direction do we want to take it?
Was there a turning point for you guys in that?
It was in 2024 sometime. A lot of things kind of fell into place all at the same time. And that was kind of synchronistic too. It was early in 2024, and I'm not sure exactly what was like the tipping point or what happened, but I think our wedding business, we started taking that seriously. We started putting a lot of work into that to try to grow it, to get clients. We started booking some weddings, so we're making a little bit of money that way. And then we booked another documentary project. That was like our first paying documentary project. So that was a big deal. And I think something else, we had a couple other projects that were starting to pay off too. Like a whole bunch of things kind of happened all at once, and it felt like we got lifted out of that debt hole pretty quickly, actually.
It's amazing. So who are your clients, and how do you find your clients, or do they find you? How does that work for you guys?
So far, they've found us for the most part, at least with Wilderness Mindset. We haven't really gone out searching for people, and it just happens synchronistically in a lot of ways. We got another job here in Montana because we were doing some free showings in our hometown of Columbus here, which weren't very successful. We hardly got anybody to show up to those, but somebody at the local newspaper thought that was interesting, and he wrote an article about us, and then we get a call out of the blue from some guy who wants us to film a documentary on his property. And that turned out to be a good job. So it's just things like that. One thing kind of leads to the next.
Yeah, I love it. I'm just thinking like from a standpoint of creating a passion-based business, which is what I think if like a purpose-based business like you guys have done. For people listening, is there any, you guys have kind of made it through the hard part and now you're finally coming into a place where you feel like you're, starting to grow. And is there any advice that you guys have for people, like as you kind of think back to the very beginnings? Any advice you give?
Yeah. Lots of advice.
I would say that just know that you're going to fail. Failing is a big part of growth, and just to not let it knock you down. Just expect that it's going to happen, and you might have a plan, but you may stray away from that plan. And a plan should just be a guidepost, right? It shouldn't be like, this is what it is. And just faith, a lot of hard work, and a lot of faith. I would never suggest anybody to go in as much debt as we did. If there's faith, if there's a will, there's a way, right?
Yep. I think my advice would be to, first just echo what Amy said, because all that's totally true. And then another one is to just put your time in. Like if you're trying to make a living by doing something that you're passionate at, that means that you have to be really good at that thing.
Yeah.
And they say it takes 10,000 hours to become a master of something. So like put your time in, and it's great if you can get paid for those 10,000 hours, but you probably won't. So understand that you're going to have to work for free a lot, and that's okay. Everybody kind of has to figure out their own situation so that they can pay the bills while they're working for free. And I don't think we navigated that situation that well. So we're probably not the best examples of that. But yeah, you have to do a lot of work for free. You have to get really good at what you want to turn your career into.
Yeah.
And then sort of build a portfolio. And then people are going to start noticing. You make connections when you do all that work. And then word starts to get out about what you make. And then people hopefully will kind of be seeking you out eventually.
Yeah, I love it. So if people want to work with you, what's the best way for them to find you?
Yeah, you can go to our website, wildernessmindset.com. There's a page that you can visit that will give you details about us and how to reach out to us.
Great.
Or by Facebook, Wilderness Mindset on Facebook, or Instagram, Wilderness Mindset on Instagram. Any of those options are viable.
Love it. You guys have done so much, and you guys have just kind of like jumped in and done these things, the CDT, making a movie, then Graybeard, Mississippi Speed Record, and all these other things that you're doing. You're making movies, but this life that you're building for yourselves is so epic that at some point Hollywood is going to want to make the movie about you guys.
You're not the first person that said that, actually.
Well, then you should be prepared for this. Then, is when Hollywood makes the movie about your lives, who's going to be the actress and actor that's going to play you in your movie?
So it's funny that you asked that, because you sent out this question so you wouldn't get us tripped up. And I actually had to use ChatGPT.
I love it.
Because I honestly don't know a whole lot of actors in Hollywood movies. So what ChatGPT told me was Margot Robbie should be my.
Nice. Okay. Love it. She's versatile. She's
very talented. So I'm not upset with that answer.
Love it. Margot Robbie. Okay.
Yeah.
Alex, how about you?
Would you be the Margot Robbie in Barbie, or does she do like a Batman movie?
Yeah.
Like there's
Suicide Squad.
Harley Quinn. Yeah.
I would be both. I would be bubbly sometimes and maybe think about death. And then I would be kicking butts.
I love it. Great choice.
Really accurate.
How about you, Alex?
I don't know actors that well either, but I think Tom Hanks came to mind.
Nice. Okay.
Amy likes Tom Hanks a lot, and I like a lot of his movies.
I'm a fan.
Too.
Tom Hanks and Margot Robbie. Okay. Yeah. I like it. What's this movie going to be called?
I think mine would be called like A Search for Meaning or something like that.
Nice.
Always trying to find what makes things meaningful in life.
Yeah, and I would say something on the lines of like Life After Darkness or something like that, because again, I've been through a lot in my life, and there's always a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. I love that. And you know what? Margot Robbie's the perfect person because she's got Harley Quinn on the dark side, Barbie on the light side, brings them together. Like, I like it. It's perfect.
Absolutely.
This is awesome. Well, you guys, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I loved hearing your story. I love what you guys are doing. And I hope people will come and download or get the Mississippi Speed Record documentary and watch it. It's excellent. I watched it. You guys did a fantastic job on it. And I just really appreciate everything that you've shared with us today. And for those listening, I hope you've been inspired today as much as I have. Hope Alex and Amy's story has encouraged you to listen to the voice inside that calls you to adventure, because we want to hear your story next. If you have a story to tell or just need a nudge to create one, please send me an email. We'd also appreciate it if you'd help us spread the word by leaving a review and sharing or tagging Inspire Campfire in your social media. And until next time, I want to encourage you to get outside. Thanks for listening. Alex, Amy, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun.